In Mozambique, many schoolgirls live in fear of their male teachers.
Ela tinha 13 anos de idade e eu gostava dela porque era bonita.
Do you regret pressurizing a 13-year-old girl to have sex?
Teachers who abuse their position and threaten their students.
Ele disse que eu vou fazer 13 anos, mesmo fazendo tudo que eu nunca vou passar de classe.
The scandal of sex for grades affects not only this country, but many others across the African continent. Mozambique was torn apart by civil war until the 1990s. There's still fighting in some parts of the country, but its economy is growing fast and its government's trying to rebuild the country.
A trazer algumas informações relacionadas à vida e à saúde e da nossa comunidade.
Lucilia Jose is a radio journalist with a mission. She's investigating teachers who demand sex to give schoolgirls their rightful exam grades, the grades they need to progress through school and on to university. She says it's widespread.
Isso eu posso fazer para ajudar a nossa sociedade a mudar de comportamento e a viver uma vida melhor.
We join Lucilia as she comes off air and heads to her next assignment at a secondary school in the north of the country. She's about to record a radio show with some very excited participants.
Classroom to do something for the first time. Talk about teachers pressurizing them to have sex.
Todos que já viram de assédio sexual que aconteceu dentro desta escola está a pedir levantar a mão. Mas estão a ver que mesmo vocês querendo levantar a mão, estão a ver que vocês, mesmo para levantar a mão, vocês têm medo. Sim.
Da maneira como falaste que vai ameaçar, né, quando os professores estarem aqui. Mas mesmo se eu falar aqui o professor ou as outras falarem, mesmo assim tem colegas que vão falar para o professor lá fora. Vamos ameaçar também mesmo assim.
É verdade, eu falei.
Lucilia is recording this discussion. She'll broadcast it later on her radio show. If teachers are sexually abusing students in schools across this area, she wants them to report it.
Alguma vez vocês falaram acerca disso?
Não! Estamos a pedir também para falar também com os professores, não só com as meninas.
Ok, é uma ideia. Estávamos no medo, não é? Sim. Que a gente costuma ter quando um professor pretende nos assediar. Estamos a dizer que temos medo.
This is one school in one part of Mozambique, and when Lucilia walked into that classroom and talked to the girls about sex for grades, they all knew exactly what she was talking about. It really drove home for me how big a problem this is.
In 2008, the Ministry of Education found that 70% of schoolgirls knew of teachers putting pressure on students for sex.
No meu distrito é muito comum. Sim, a maior parte das meninas são assediadas, mas não falam. E para os pais encarregados de educação, que o que aconteceu é isto. Ela cala pessoalmente. Então, as outras podem fazer aquilo e podem ser feitos o assédio sexual e pensar que tudo é normal.
I go to Lucilia's radio station. The reports on sex for grades that she broadcasts from here are gathering attention.
Lucilia's just gone to speak to 3 schoolgirls who turned up here and wanted to speak to her. So I'm going to go in and see if I can listen in on what they're talking about.
Ela, quando me perguntou, disse, aqui, não vim brincar contigo. Eu disse, então, você não está enganada. Você tinha boa nota. Eu fiz tudo por tudo para você chumbar de classe. Fui eu quem fiz essas coisas.
This girl, who we're calling Maria, is 16. She claims last year, when she was 15, she was invited to a guest house for what she thought was a group study session. On arrival, she says she found herself alone with a teacher.
Ele falou diretamente assim, que quero fazer, não disse que quero fazer amor contigo, só falei essa coisa que me gusta falar.
Fala, não se preocupe.
Disse,
Maria says he demanded sex, but she refused.
falar que é professor. Ele disse que eu vou fazer 13 anos, mesmo fazendo que eu nunca vou passar de classe. Só até agora porque eu me vi e...
The fact that she's chosen Lucilia to speak to, well, that just tells me that this place is a lot more than a radio station. It's a lifeline for young girls like her.
Vou levar este caso ao gabinete de atendimento. Pode ser dia ou algum dia mesmo, acredites que você vai passar de classe. Tá bom?
We travel to meet Maria's mother.
Lucilia wants to talk to her and let her know what's been going on.
Maria and her mum decide they want to tell us their story. It's a courageous decision, but for their protection, we have decided to obscure their identities.
Do assédio sexual, falo dos casamentos.
Depois, quando eu acabou de ouvir, pensei de ir reclamar ou ir com esse professor porque fez isso aí. Depois,
Então, eu pensava que ia estar fora da escola.
depois eu fiquei calada assim, se ajuda.
Mas assim que ele disse que, por exemplo, eu quero fazer sexo contigo, este está a cometer crime.
Maria's dad died when she was very young. Her mother supports the family, but she feels powerless to do anything about the threats her daughter says she's getting from her teacher.
Tive a pensar um montão de coisas. Deixar de estudar, desistir, não ir mais da escola, porque assim, eu sabia. Ele me falou que ia estudar 3 anos, a chumpar. Eu me sentia mal. Por que vou à escola se eu vou estudar 3 anos a chumpar?
What do you want to do when you leave school?
O sonho que eu tive, estou a ver que não tenho possibilidades. Eu queria ser jornalista, mas estou a ver que não tenho possibilidade.
None of Maria's dreams will come true unless she stays at school and gets the right grades. Maria takes me to the river where she does the family's washing. Most girls in Mozambique leave school by the age of 11, spending their days carrying out domestic chores and manual work.
What's it like growing up in this neighborhood?
No meu bairro, acontece que tem muitas meninas que são grávidas, que deixaram de estudar.
Maria wants a different life, but she needs high grades to get to university. It's her greatest dream, but only 1% of girls in Mozambique reach higher education.
Do you feel different to those girls?
Estou a estudar, estou a ajudar minha mãe ainda, não estou preparada para casar.
Maria knows school's her ticket to a different life, but she's scared and doesn't know whether she can continue. With the agreement of Maria and her family, Lucilia, the radio journalist, alerts Maria's headmaster to the allegations against his member of staff. He says he'll start an investigation, but at the moment, without any hard evidence, it's a schoolgirl's word against a teacher's. Lucilia is not going to give up. For her, it's personal. Lucilia lives with her husband, also a journalist. They have a 4-year-old daughter.
What motivated you to start campaigning on this sex for grades problem?
Eu sofri assédio sexual, mas foi pouco normal. Mas minha prima viveu assédio sexual muito grave, que em algum momento ela foi assediada com esse professor, sei lá, então.
Então, quando eu comecei a produzir os programas, eu comecei a avaliar de que, afinal de contas, aquilo que a gente viveu, eu com minha prima, são mesmos casos que as outras raparigas que estão na escola estão a viver.
Lucilia is determined her daughter's dreams won't be destroyed by sex for grades.
Ela vai escolher aquilo que ela vai querer ser e eu vou lhe ajudar para que o sonho dela seja alcançado. É isso. Eu não vou dizer, minha filha tem que ser fulana, não. Ela, depois de crescer, vai escolher o que ela vai querer ser e eu vou lhe ajudar para atingir o sonho dela.
Vou na escola próximo ano.
Vai na escola próximo ano.
There's no record of how many teachers in Mozambique have been prosecuted over sex for grades. Lawyers tell us such prosecutions are incredibly rare.
It took some digging, but we finally found a teacher who allegedly abused one of his pupils. We're on our way to talk to him now.
He's ashamed of what he did and says he wants to speak out. He says the practice is so widespread he doesn't fear prosecution, but has asked us not to use his name.
How did you find out that there was this system whereby you put pressure on a student by lowering her grades?
Eu acabei sabendo assim porque também quando no tempo em que eu estava a estudar tive algumas histórias e às vezes também um ano quando eu estava na 10ª classe eu servi de caixinha, um professor falou comigo para falar com uma moça para chegar na casa desse professor.
He went on to become a teacher. He claims he had sex with a schoolgirl.
Em 2011 eu conheci uma moça na minha turma. Ela tinha 13 anos de idade e eu gostava dela porque era bonita. Eu tinha que interromper nas avaliações dela. Se ela tivesse uma nota um pouco elevada, eu tentava reduzir as notas dela. E eu tentava mesmo cada vez mais humilhar na turma e ela acabou aceitando o meu encontro.
Do you regret pressurizing that 13-year-old girl to have sex?
Sim, me arrependo porque depois de eu me envolver com ela, ela acabou abandonando porque eu enganei. Sim, primeiro ponto, eu usei o meu poder.
He's still a teacher. Off camera, he says this kind of abuse is as bad as ever.
Is this problem ever going to change?
Eu sei que as coisas não vão mudar, mas eu tenho filho agora. Eu amo daquela criança. Se eu me sentir que alguém fez uma pressão sexual nas escolas, sim, vou me sentir muito mal. Sim, vou me sentir muito mal porque sei que é uma prática ruim. Sim. Sim.
Lucilia is concerned that Maria will drop out of school, so we head to see her. Her end-of-year exams begin next week, and her future depends on passing them. Lucilia is bringing her a mobile phone, so Maria can call for support at any time.
Para usar bem o telefone, tá bom. Não é para você usar coisas que não têm interesse. Cruzaste com o tal professor hoje?
Ele disse que estou a ver todo o movimento que você está a fazer. Mas você vai se ver comigo. Não se esqueça disso.
Lucilia hopes the phone will give Maria the confidence to stay in school and get the grades she needs. But I'm not sure it's going to be enough.
Ele cada vez mais fala uma coisa que eu não me dá vontade de ir à escola. Então, o que eu vou fazer? Vou ficar em casa, sentada, dizer que vou acabar com essa coisa de uma única vez, não ir à escola mais. Então é essa coisa.
Maria's being incredibly brave by sharing her story. While we film with her, I meet many more girls across the country who say they're facing similar problems from teachers, but they're too scared to go on camera.
Sex for grades seems so widespread and commonplace here. I really want to find out what the laws are against this.
Hello.
Ah, Dr. Abibo.
Okay.
Hi.
Yeah.
Dr. Tarciso Abibo is a human rights lawyer.
Obrigada. Obrigada.
Stopping sexual harassment in schools is high on his agenda.
What are the rules? What are the laws to stop this from happening?
Esta lei tem no seu artigo 224, artigo 224 fala de assédio sexual e como uma situação conhecida como crime a nível do país. Uma circular que foi enviada a nível de todas as escolas do país, onde se explica todo e qualquer professor que se envolver, portanto, nessa situação, em termos, portanto, da assédio sexual, a tolerância é zero.
It's the day of Maria's end-of-year exams. Passing these means she'll graduate to her final year and have a shot at university. The headmaster's investigation is ongoing, but the man she claims harassed her is still teaching at her school. Are you scared about seeing your teacher?
Fico com medo, costumo ficar com medo de encontrar com ele assim, pelo caminho. Mesmo ele ver assim, ele não me ver, eu fico com medo dele. Sim, eu fico nervosa só de pensar nele. Fico nervosa, meio triste pouco. Mas se eu for à escola não me avistar com ele, me sinto bem e fico muito feliz.
She won't find out her exam results for a few weeks. A few days later, I travel to Mozambique's capital, Maputo. I'm here to meet the Minister of Education. But before I do, I'm going to see a group of girls speaking out against sexual harassment in schools. This radio show is hosted by teenagers. They're part of the movement to break the silence around sex for grades. Zelia is 19 and still at school.
Ambiente que nem é esse, acabamos nos conformando com certas reações, com o mesmo assédio sexual, porque para nós acho que é algo normal.
They want other girls to join them in protest.
E agora eu convido a todas as raparigas a participar no sábado, dia 15, a participar numa marcha que terá início na Praça da Paz. Beijinhos e abraços. Boa tarde, tudo de bom.
I fixed to join them at the protest. They hope growing grassroots support will force the government to crack down harder on sex for grades. When I meet the Minister of Education, Jorge Ferrao, I tell him about the allegations I've heard from Maria and other girls too frightened to go on camera. He tells me sex for grades has been tolerated for too long.
It makes me sick, depressed, but this is the reality which sometimes we have to go through.
We know that sex for grades is a crime under Mozambican law, but are enough teachers being charged and prosecuted for this crime?
It's something which we need to address very strongly, but it will take time. And it will take time because, as I mentioned before, it has been embedded in the cultural values and in the cultural attitude of the people.
A lot of times the girls feel that it's just their word against the teachers, and perhaps going back to this cultural point, the teachers have more power.
No, this is not the kind of teachers that we want in our system. And I think with the time, we'll find ways and means of start cleaning up a little bit the system, taking the ones who are not good teachers, putting them aside, and then bring a new generation of teachers which, are more dedicated and more committed.
The demonstration the girls at the radio station were promoting is underway. Schoolgirls are joining women's rights groups from all over Africa. They feel too often that schoolgirls, not teachers, take the blame for sexual harassment. They're outraged the Mozambican government recently told schoolgirls to wear long skirts to avoid tempting their teachers. After the march, I meet feminist activists from other African countries, including Senegal, Kenya, and Tanzania.
We've been looking at the problem of sex for grades in Mozambican schools, where teachers put pressure on their students to have sex with them in exchange for good grades. Is this something you're familiar with back home?
Very much so, and it's very unfortunate that today, in 2016, in all our countries, and especially also in Senegal, girls are not protected within the schools, and this is their only way to have a future.
So it's definitely a problem in Tanzania as well, and yes, the system needs to change, and it has started changing.
And in the Kenyan context, I'll tell you, it happens a lot.
Where there's a case of harassment or abuse, that professor not only has to be expelled, he has to be processed in the judicial system.
All three of those women knew exactly what I meant when I started talking about sex for grades. It happens in their countries too. And the interesting thing is it's compounded by the same things: silence and victim blaming. Back in the north of the country, Lucilia, the journalist, is continuing to monitor Maria's case. She wants to make sure Maria's headmaster is still investigating her allegations. She knows if complaints like this aren't dealt with properly, girls will continue to believe that they have no choice but to accept harassment and the practice of sex for grades.
E é por isso que muitas das raparigas facilmente caem, porque são ameaças que, se você não ter coragem, pode até levar a abandonar na escola.
After we left Mozambique, the teacher who Maria claims made advances to her was interviewed by the headmaster. He's still teaching at the school as investigations continue. Maria is waiting for her exam results and continuing to go to school.
Thanks for watching this classic Unreported World episode. Click the logo to subscribe for more award-winning documentaries from the Unreported World team. We upload videos every Wednesday and Sunday, keeping you up to date with content from all over the world.